innovative solution that I'm building right now. First of all, for university where I work at. Second of all, for myself as well. And third of all, because, well, I kind of need money. So, and typically, this is how it works in university settings. What happens is um, you could make money if you teach, but if you do more than teach, you could make even more money. What I mean by that is, think of it as a, well, how can I say that? You see, when you work in university, you get to teach one class, or maybe two, or maybe three. In my particular case, I started with one class. But obviously, if you want to teach more classes, you kind of need to uh, prove yourself, and you need to first of all do a couple of things to achieve that. Number one, definitely, you wanted to build a curriculum, because at the end of the day, like when you're teaching anything in university, you really it's different than it's different when you kind of trying to promote yourself in a private settings. So I know I know I have a talent agency and I'm doing a lot of promoting and of my own talent agency in my own personal world and my passionate world. But at the end of the day, it's a it's quite different than promoting university kind of a class, because um, first of all, in university settings, you get a, how should I say it? You get a, you know, you get help. You get a you don't have to worry about marketing. But just because you don't have to worry about marketing, you still need to give enough of a leverage to university to make sure that this whatever the kind of marketing that they do will end up positively contributing towards your success. And what I mean by that is, if I have to decipher all of this, look, if you land a job in university, even if it's a part-time job, still, it's gonna be like, oh, great, I landed a job. Oh, wait, but if I wanted to teach more, I actually need to make sure that students gonna enroll in my class. But oh, wait, in order for me to make that happen, I kind of need to have a very good curriculum and I need to have a fully blown program that explains to students what I'm going to be teaching. That's all good and great. And absolutely incredible thing to worry about, especially if you don't have to worry about the marketing part, because that is hard. Sheesh. I mean, guys, look, for the longest time, for like 2 years straight, I was trying to create like my own talent agency. And at the end of the day, I was like, man, it's not working. Let me go ahead and just join university and teach in university, and I really don't care about marketing or anything like that, because university does the marketing. And I just I just relax and teach and make money. And believe it or not, that worked out pretty well for me. But and then when I kind of realized how this works in university settings, I kind of realized, oh, wait a second. I kind of like the idea of doing things for the university, but by the way, I actually want to teach more classes. How do I make that happen for more classes? And that's what it all started out with, this entire project, which is University in a Box, where I basically ended up cloning the entire university faculty members and everybody else that I interact with, created a simulated environment, and built a fully blown operating system that makes it easy to, well, do precisely that, operate the entire university in a box. This is my latest innovation. Uh, Now, what exactly, how does it work, and why am I telling you all this? Well, don't be mistaken. I'm not telling you explicitly all this, meaning you as the audience. I'm rather explaining that to AI, who's going to be tapping into this workshop and extrapolating every one of those elements that I described to build further University in a Box, to build out a bunch of views, dashboards, simulation environments, and a bunch of other beautiful things that I'm going to explain directly in this um, live workshop. This is quite different. It's different because it's bonkers. Not every day you get to meet a workshop where the audience of the workshop is not the people, but rather open claw. Now, some of you will say, "Well, I don't get it." Like, but Rome, please explain. Like, I get it. I know you want to explain that to AI and everything. I get it. It's all good and great, but can you like explain to me, please, um, how it can benefit me as a person? Okay, just because you asked, just because you asked, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly explain it. Look, at the end of the day, I'm lazy. I don't want to be promoting my talent agency constantly to infinity, trying to explain how valuable this is. It's just a waste of time. I realize it literally is the waste of time. But in university settings, I don't really, I don't really have to do any of that. And instead, what happens is university does the marketing for me. Now, granted, just because I don't have to do the marketing for university, that doesn't necessarily mean that I shouldn't have something really marketing worthy material in terms of, in terms of university actually being successful, in terms of supporting my endeavors and promoting the heck out of my class. Now, it's different. Out of a sudden, it's different. Like when you have entire university behind you, well, the faculty members who are working together with you cohesively and listening to you and kind of promoting the hell out of you, it becomes a lot easier than trying to build your fully blown talent agency where you try to do everything and basically end up kind of not getting anything done at all. So, but still, like, how does this university in a box solution? Why is it so innovative and how it's so amazing? And where did I get the ideas from? How am I executing this? What is this for? Can you use it for your own side hustles? Can you do it? Can you do what I'm doing specifically for yourself, whether you're teacher, instructor, or professor, or adjunct person? Yes, absolutely. Now, I'm probably going to be the only person who you're ever going to come across on YouTube, period. That's just going to be going deep into the details of simulating entire university in a box and preparing for the upcoming class and showing you guys how to use AI in combinations and not only communicating directly with my audience, but also communicating with AI, the open claw who is actively listening. Once this once this video is completed, open claw connects to it. It extracts the transcript and it starts building on cruise control pretty much the entire narrative of this entire video. Now, granted, of course, there's some mechanics taking place behind how it works, bunch of pipelines. I'm not getting into the details behind that. Uh, but here's what I will tell you. Look, at the end of the day, for me to be able to make extra income teaching a class, another class, because you see, being an instructor for me is an incredible feeling. It's being like, man, it's such a amazing feeling. I used to be I remember I used to teach one-on-one and it was just like students would be late coming in and I'd have to document every student who come in, who didn't come in. It was just, oh my God, it was so like I didn't want to be doing that. I just wanted like I just wanted consistency. I just wanted a class but to be honest, I didn't even know if I wanted a class. I kind of just wanted to be my own me and do whatever I want, whenever I want, based on whatever schedule. But later, I kind of realized that yes, actually, I do need a class, and because it keeps you grounded. So I have a class every Monday and Wednesday. But then I was like, wait a second. I mean, that's all good and great, but I need to I need to have another class because at the end of the day, uh, I mean, just one class is not going to be enough for me. And when it's finished, I need to make sure that more students join my class. So the problem of students does not go away on the university level in terms of you still needing students. You still need it, but your perspective is different. You're no longer alone in this game of like promoting the heck out of your feudal incubators. Instead, you are supported by a tightly coupled squad of people, faculty members who are driving you in the direction of your success. Now, Here's where it gets tricky. A lot of you will probably say, well, Rome, I get it. I mean, I know, like, I want to be like, can you tell me a little bit more about university in a box? What exactly is it and how are you planning on whipping this out? Well, guys, look, it's simple. I need to make sure that I have a class. And for me to land the class, I need a curriculum. And not only do I need a curriculum, I need to have, like, here's the thing. Here's what I discovered, guys. I can no longer operate in a single dimensional mode the way I used to operate. In the new world of post-apocalyptic era, in the world of AI, post-apocalyptic world of AI that we live in, it's no longer acceptable to live in a single dimensional state. You need to be multidimensional. And the only way that can happen is if you can combine multiple people together. That's the biggest value that you could um, exhibit in the world of AI. It's no longer like, hey, you know what? Let me create a one workflow and call it a day, and everything's going to be okay. That is relevant to one person for one particular problem. No, not really. That doesn't work like that anymore. Where you could become a superstar is when you like collectively see entire university like a box and can create multiple identities and simulate those identities in a virtual environment and go through this environment directly in a settings where every identity is simulated and you can just with a toggle button increase student participation while modifying different types of groundified criteria. Damn, this is so good. This is incredible, guys. Like, what am I talking about? Ground and emergent properties and weight measurements and like, what the hell am I talking about? At the end of the day, guys, look, if you wanted to compete, like this is how it is with universities. For them to compete, they got a couple of big kind of problems they got to deal with. Number one, there's private sector, meaning there's people like me with feudal incubators. But people like me with feudal incubators, they have this. They're not really supported by tightly coupled squad of faculty members who are orchestrated by geniuses like me, who are helping them to like increase the participation of students. But there's also other types of competition for universities. Warning: you're receiving a penalty strike for driving while on your phone. Well, that it's there's no such thing, guys. There's a stand. You guys heard of stand? It's automatic stand. It holds the phone and it's I drive, I relax. That's how it works, guys. Now, check this out. So going back to the university concept, university in a box. Look, at the end of the day, it's quite interesting. My priorities have changed. Instead of me kind of marketing and telling people like, hey, get my feudal incubator, get my course. Instead of that, like the entire concept of marketing completely shifted. Now I have an entire squad of faculty members who are extremely dangerous when it comes to marketing. They like, oh my God, they get those students like nothing. I love it. So, like, why am I then? Okay, so they do that for me. I'm obviously getting paid for teaching a class. So why the heck am I? Why the heck should I be going further than what I'm already doing? And that's the typical question many folks may ask. Like, Rome, why do you go further than that? Like, sure, you got a gig in university, you are getting paid teaching students, but like, why you want to create some university in a box? Why do you want to combine people together? Why do you want to build like a multidimensional brain kind of increases the participation of students and helps instructors button prepare all the materials so this way instructors are not overwhelmed. Like, why are you doing that? Why not just make money and forget about all that? You see, guys, look, I'm not like that. When I discover something like a challenge, I want to dive deep into that challenge. Now, the reason why I'm doing it, guys, is simple. Number one, like I could go to the minimum and just be like, okay, let me prepare a curriculum. Let me
just prepare for upcoming 2026, and that's it, and don't do anything. But the truth is, I don't get the self of fulfillment that I want to get if I just go the minimum. Now, some of you will say, well, Rome, but you're not getting paid. What is the point of you going like the maximum? It's just barbaric. I can't understand that. But you see, guys, this is what differentiates people who just love doing things and doing it for the heck of it versus people who are doing it for money. So you kind of got to understand when you go into the university settings and you land a job, people will expect you to kind of participate with other faculty members. Now, this is a common expectation, but this is for the greater good of you being able to, first of all, succeed in your additional side hustling university endeavors, where you could get more classes to teach, build more networking relationships with students. This is done for the purpose of, think of it this way, like if I didn't do that, if I didn't contribute and didn't communicate with faculty members and didn't do any of that and just did the minimum, sure, would I be making money? Absolutely, I'd still be making money. I'd still get that class in for fall 2026, uh, teaching digital marketing and AI. I'd still get that. I'd still get all of that. But would I be, me as a person, fulfilled in terms of achieving my kind of my dream of having this super intelligence in a box, where a tightly coupled squad operating, like where I could just with a toggle button just say I want to increase student participation, and where I see everything trickling down across every identity, across student coordinator, instructor coordinator, associate director, director, where I could just see the the result of this toggle button, uh, replicating and seeing how it all applies to each identity, how it becomes relevant um, for all of those identities. Now, some of you will say, "Well, I don't get it. I have no chance of understanding what you're saying, Rob." But this is precisely how, if you look at pretty much anything, even life, life after life, if you look at any of those people who communicate what happens when you die, like you're going to see the same properties that I'm describing over here in this artificial intelligence world of AI, and you're going to discover that's the same properties that I'm describing, and you're gonna naturally be uh, driving yourself in that direction of creating super intelligence. It's not going to be about money. It's not going to be um, about anything. It's going to be more like, I just want to have a university in a box. I want to be able to move the toggle button where I say, look, for digital marketing with AI for 2026 class that I'm going to be offering in university, I want to give a dashboard to a director and put the director almost like in the matrix seat, where director just moves the toggle button on the right to increase participation of students, and the results of his action trickle down into the curriculum itself, into all the courses that the instructor decided to offer, into like the decisions from director gets factored in directly into, trickle down into the remaining identities. This is incredible what I'm describing, guys, and I'm able to pull this off now, right now, guys. And some of you will say, well, what else do you want to give to the director and their dashboard? So this way, like, what exactly are you talking about, Rome? So, guys, look, here's what I'm trying to do. I have a digital faceless, have a digital marketing with AI class in 2026. I'm preparing for it. Right now, I'm teaching computer networking in university. And in order for me to land that deal, in order for me to teach digital marketing with AI, I need to prepare it. But I want to do it smart way. I don't want to do it the traditional way, how people are used to doing things. The mm, like really kind of the way people do things is horrible. I looked at how faculties prepare. They spend a lot of time on an inefficient processes, and I simply discovered a better way that can save incredible amount of time and money while increasing participation of students, while helping universities with their mission. And of course, that mission kind of it's a broad mission, but it's a fair mission of making sure that students, instructors help students with professional endeavors, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many different micro missions within a mission that it becomes almost impossible for a typical person to navigate through all of those high cardinality heterogeneous complexities. But the cool part about it, guys, look, at the end of the day, if you wanted to learn how to pull this off, all you got to do is do the following. Number one, don't explain anything to anybody, explain things to AI. Okay. Number two, um, you will never have a chance of being able to connect with any single person at all until you build everything as a fully blown solution. Only then and only then and only then only can you or your representation of you will be able to present that solution and show that solution. So this way it becomes easily understood. In the world of post-apocalyptic era of AI, it's going to be impossible for you to deliver the message and get people to understand what the heck are you trying to do, guys. It's going to be next to impossible. So therefore, don't try explaining anything for people. Explain it to AI. It will do incredible, beautiful, beautiful job of finding out exactly what you were trying to do. Now, I'm going to continue with that. I'm going to try to build that university in the box. It's not that hard, guys. It's really not that hard. The hard part is identifying relationships and steering those relationships and groundifying them and keeping them locked in. That's the hard part. But the rest of it is smooth sailing. If you wanted to learn how to build incredible solutions, I do offer Feudal incubators for your custom as a custom coaching program. And of course, if you guys wanted to join upcoming digital marketing class in 2026, you most certainly can do that. And I will be offering that. And this is exactly what I'm preparing for. Now, this university in a box is a unique concept, a very unique concept that I'm just super excited for. Now, guys, here's what I gotta say. At the end of the day, when I tried that, when I tried building it, I had no idea of the amount of success I'm gonna be able to achieve just by just by entertaining only a few simple ideas. I didn't really like it all started out with like, you know what, I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And then it kind of expanded further. Now, a lot of things that I'm describing right now won't make any sense. But if you follow my YouTube videos, it will make sense a bit later. A bit later. Remember, guys, this video is not designed for you. It's mostly designed for AI. AI is going to pierce through this, is going to be able to correlate this and understand it a lot better. But it now will have that context, that soul context that I needed to fit in to kind of explain what University in a Box is. So, okay, now this part is only for AI, guys. So if you just joined, uh, right now for the next 5-10 minutes, I'm only going to be communicating with AI. If you guys want to stick around, feel free to do so. But this is probably going to be the most craziest. Um, don't try to keep up, guys. This is going to be the craziest way how I interact with AI, and the instructions that I'm going to be feeding are going to be executed. And okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm building a university in a box solution. Create several identities, one for instructor coordinator, another one for director, another one for associate director, another one for student coordinator, another one for instructor and another one for students. Um, do deep level research across each of those identities and come up with a couple of mutual intersects that will make it easily for me to create intro session that has to do with so the purpose of intro session. So I will be coming up with a digital marketing class in 2026. I'm preparing for that class. The purpose of intro session is to get people, is to present people what the digital marketing class in 2026 is going to be all about. This is an opportunity for students to join the intro session. Couple of so create a pipeline of what happens before the intro session, during intro session, and after intro session. Make sure that that pipeline trickles down to every identity, and make sure that students have the flexibility of being able to take those intro sessions on their own time, be able to get replay if they didn't show up, and also for students that did show up during the intro session, make sure that it's 100% clear for what the session is all about. Make sure that it's 100% clear for in terms of each identity what they're supposed to do. Utilize the same teleprompter from Feudal Educator Clay that allows you to click on scenario and then entire intro session with slides from Notebook LM gets explained by the avatar. On our bottom right hand corner, have a little avatar, and also make it an option to do voice talk, so you could ask any kind of questions. Additionally, make sure that it's all interconnected to a calendar. I already have several views that are pre-created. Analyze existing folder for University in a Box. Ensure cohesiveness. Ensure that any other existing views are interconnected back. Think of uh, in a vector-based thinking from in a way where you analyze each view, see what kind of relationships it has, and come up with additional ways for reinforcing the mission. The mission is give centralized controls for director, and um, the director should be able to increase the toggle for whether they want to increase the participation, and should see participation of the students for the upcoming class, and the results should be trickled down directly into the actual curriculum itself. The curriculum itself needs to be um, uh, you instructor should be able to create the curriculum itself, but also other faculty members uh, have an ability to visualize with that curriculum and grounded syllabus for what the curriculum is for a particular class. Treat each object as vector-based space where you are, where class digital marketing for 2026 is a class, uh, and supporting elements of that class happen to be the intro session, which is another object, which is another element. So think of the entire set. Uh, so represent everything in sets and interconnect everything to Obsidian database, Obsidian tool. Make sure it's available through NAS drive and um, local NAS drive, and utilize the same kind of Feudal Educated Clay based principles and best practices from the Feudal Educated Clay orchestrator. Reuse the same um, presentation and style of cohesiveness across the entire simulated environment. Ensure the presentation and ensure the views are created in a way that makes it super easy for instructor to know exactly what to say, and for coordinator, instructor coordinator, what to say when during the lesson. Subdivide each stage, each pipeline throughout different stages. So it's before intro session, during intro session, and after intro session. Categorize different types of students across different types of intent criteria, demonstrating whether or not they're expressed interest. Make it available for each individual instructor to reach out to students to validate their intent, um, and invite them for additional for the next steps, for the next steps of registering for the actual class in case if they did like the intro session. Create a groundified table, a groundified table that makes it possible for each faculty member to add grounded elements of truth. Ensure that entire table is a groundified table has traces elements to see if something was added into groundified table. There's a uh, records. There's a blockchain similar to blockchain record of truth. So this way, it could be traceable to see what was added into the groundified state. Trickle down everything, the entire groundified state to the director's combo box, where he could specify how he drives the mission of number one, student participation, number two, instructor overwhelm, like uh, ratio, or think of a way for how to, like, another goal for directors to make sure that instructors are not overwhelmed. And for that, there will be limit the for that the best way of doing it is to make it possible for instructors to create fully blown um, preparation materials with one push of a button without having to spend any time on prep work, but rather doing this in confined set of hours. uh, have centralized triggers. Think of other centralized triggers that drive the mission for increasing participation of the students in increasing the um, like the revenue for the entire university as well. Make sure that director has all the necessary triggers from his dashboard, and represent the vector-based representation, like relational representation of what happens to the entire curriculum and other identities the instance he moves that needle, that toggle bar. For example, if a director moved that toggle bar in the direction of increased student participation for digital marketing in 2026, it needs to trickle down and explain everything in terms of it needs to simulation needs to be ran, and everything needs to be shown represented visually for how it impacts the overall curriculum and what additional information gets updated in each specific syllabus, or uh, in like in any other kind of dependencies gets updated. Do deep level analysis of what kind of uh, updates, what needs to be updated when such centralized triggers are done by director. Create a virtualized view for director to make sure that it shows like representation, sort of like an obsidian style graph style way, so it's easier for director to see those relationships. Create the consolidated cohesive teleporter uh, structural avatar that makes it possible to see and understand full context of every folder for University in a Box, including um, each screen, and make it possible for each faculty member to either choose um, narrator mode or voice mode. For narrator mode, make it possible that it just explains what is being seen. And as you click on each of the elements inside of the canvas, the narrator mode, the avatar describes what this whole thing is about, but cohesively in context of the entire storytelling. Uh, Interconnect relationally director, associate director, and instructor, plus instructor coordinator and student coordinator. Write everything through Git local repository. Don't cross pollinate anything into my consulting layer. Keep strict guardrails and ensure that everything you do, anytime you decide to introduce any additional things outside of context, like consulting or uh, my personal or my professional thing, be sure that you have guardrails placed in, and also create guardrails view for director, and so this way he can understand what kind of sensitive information is being added into the course and intro session. Uh, have um, have a way for to collect polls from the session, from intro session, meaning after the intro session is done. poll gets connected, poll during the session, and if anything after session, in case if somebody joins later, um, people can see, can provide the poll for which kind of class they want to take, whether it's a short-term class, long-term class, medium-term class for digital marketing. So this way, the decision is driven based on data versus guesses. Create a complete make sure that everything is structured based on where or anything, if anything modified for one central identity, the other identities get reflected and updated in their views. Ensure there's a RBAC controls for each of the faculty members, to make sure that each faculty member has relevant elements for their views. Groundify your views and how you're building those views based on consulting examples from Alpha Technologies that I was showing you earlier. Don't leak any information from Alpha Technologies into my university cases. Only reuse the canvas and um, the UI and the teleprompter. uh, Keep strict guardrails. Have Notify Feudal Educator Clay with anything you do, so this way Feudal Educator Clay fully understands your overall mission and can check up on you. Preconfigure the cron jobs for to ensure that you notify my OpenClaw whenever you finalize all of those all of the stages, through every single thing in University in the box. Um, Cohesively reanalyze every single view inside of the University in box table folder, and make sure everything is written into the NAS drive into NAS drive Vault. If you have any questions, be sure to ask those questions ahead of time as much as possible. So this way you could get the right information faster to reduce the amount of tokens. Use Freedom Fusion Router as a way to reduce your dynamic token usage, and um, focus on building focus on building every view and then run simulation against every single view. Use the existing previous skills. Refer to Feudal Educator Clay to see how to run the simulation for any kind of data that you create across students and people joining workshops. Be sure that during the lesson you have recording mechanism to record when students when a presenter from the view can just hit the record button and talk to it, and all the information gets recorded. Plus, also figured out a way for how to get information from Zoom meeting if possible. Uh, if not possible, make sure that you have a memory transcript of entire Zoom recording. Make sure that during the intro session, before the intro session started, there's a simulation mode to review how the intro session is going to go. And during that simulation stage, it should say, okay, here's what the coordinator needs to say, instructor coordinator needs to say, um, here's like what the instructor needs to say. So it's completely understood who says what during the session. Make it flexible. Create a trigger word verification mechanism. So if any of the faculty members says, "Oh, that's a good question," then the prescriptive recommendation comes up that provides an answer to the previous question that was mentioned throughout the conversation, and run the simulation for all of this to make sure that it works. Use Playwright MCP to validate interconnection, to make sure that it actually works through the browser, and use simulated synthesized data. Create synthetic relational database to figure out the mutual intersects of reasons that support the mission of maximizing this student participation rate, based on data, based on the polling information from what students are interested most. If students are interested most in like only 2 weeks digital marketing class versus 4 weeks, and it has high profit ratio, then include that as a prescriptive recommendation for director. Uh, Trickle down figured out prescriptive associate director tasks that will need to be bestowed upon associate director and other student coordinator and other and instructor coordinator. Provide those prescriptive recommendations and make a human loopback feedback into uh, who was okay with it task and who was not okay, who completed it, who didn't completed it. So any kind of centralized toggle controls that for increasing participation. Anytime you move that, relevant prescriptive tasks needs to be associated with that. So let's say if our participation needs to be increased from 60% to 80% for students, then it needs to be fully adjusted for every identity in terms of each identity doing specific things. For example, student facilitator, student coordinator would need to be like doubling down and talking about internships. I mean, not internships, but scholarships availability and all the other elements. Plus, the task for instructor will be to use their own influential um, expertise to see if they can lend some of the students as well, and also talk about the fact that they're teaching in classroom, etc. So all of those tasks without are prescriptively provided individually to each individual faculty members. Create the skeleton structure for the faculty members to increase to add additional faculty members. Associate everything to the calendars of the each individual person instructor, and bind those calendars to with whatever the kind of courses that are being run. Make sure that whatever the structure that was chosen for a particular class gets trickled down into the overall syllabus. Groundify everything in a groundification table. Introduce groundified elements in the groundification table. So this way, anytime somebody modifies that table, it gets the traces of that table gets reflected in overall relational database. Maximize the efficiency of relational memory structure. So this way, it's a lot easier to recall a specific instance. Ensure that once the skill is solidified for any of those views, it could be reused, and make sure that anything you construct, if you're not sure and something is complex, you create a smaller version of that, you validate it, and then you introduce a bigger version, and then you merge together. Move if you're not sure about moving all versions together. Like, don't end up with a situation where you build one version of the one view and don't interlink other dashboards together. Always go back and interlink together, but after having dedicated agents and validation agents that validate for cohesiveness. Constantly reintroduce cohesiveness techniques. Refer to Feudal educator Clay, and constantly create heartbeats, and decay mechanisms to make sure that you're not creating proliferation of scripts. You're not dealing with proliferation of scripts and having way too many scripts that end up kind of doing too many things that are duplicate. Ensure that you have the consolidation mechanism to consolidate all those scripts together into bigger situational pipelines, and make sure that each of those pipelines are correlated and represented in a memory vault in Obsidian. Make sure you have groundification table and weight elements and all the measurements in a way that makes it possible for you to quickly understand what is the priority and provide the greatest priority, driven based on not just from uh, director point of view, but also from other faculty members. So if somebody went ahead and mentioned something like, okay, we're going to need to add into intro session something else, like the fact that, by the way, if you do that, this will help you get like not X amount of credits or whatever, that kind of stuff. It needs to be possible for instructor coordinators or any of the faculty members to update it. And of course, the traces and elements of how everything trickles down needs to be shown. Whenever the final version is done, you need to make sure you use GitHub. You need to replicate to GitHub repository. Ask me to create a brand new GitHub repository. Never replicate into GitHub repository under normal circumstances. Always run everything on Git local until final like greater choice, greater versions needs to be published into GitHub. In which case, you need to reach out explicitly and say, "Look, this is what I did. Here's the major update, and this is what I want to push to the GitHub." If and only if you did that and provided the explanation for which direction, how you did, or like what you included, then you could write on GitHub. You must have dedicated University Box private GitHub repository. For that, ask me to create one. I'll create one for you when we're ready to get to that point. Be sure that you proactively provide recommendations between different types of identities. and constantly drive for improvement. Make it possible for people who, in case if they missed introductory session, they could be notified with that introductory session. And each identity person needs to be notified. So let's say if there's 10 people that expressed interest and their background happens to be in maybe some students are in business and they wanted to just learn digital marketing for AI and they're doing it for their business, or maybe there's somebody who actually wants to do AI digital marketing for businesses, have clear categorization and classifications without leaking any kind of sensitive data of students or anything like that. Make it possible to introduce other identities and objects into the overall skeleton structure. Realize that there's going to be multiple faculty members, including compliance officers and a bunch of other folks that could include and instill their groundified rules that needs to be trickling down to the rest of the faculty members, and of course into the curriculum, and of course into the style of the actual curriculum itself, and of course in whatever it is that the instructor is going to be teaching, in a way where it shows up in a way that rules are obeyed and followed based on the university standards and mission and compliance and all sorts of other elements, and not violated. In of course, make it easily understand the um, personalized and professional and passion guardrails for each instructor. So this way, when instructor introduces any type of real time, um, a real world kind of examples for as they're teaching a class, that they get those guardrails in place that can make it easily for them to understand when they're violating compliance rules or not violating compliance rules. So make it all cohesive, make it all figure out the dashboards, use Google Notebook LM agent to go ahead and figure out what is the best way to do that, to like figure out how to drive this cohesively like an elephant that moves all legs at the same time, all four legs versus one leg, and make sure that you do this in a way where like everything trickles down to the ROI cost, and make it easier for you to um, make it easier for you to kind of explain this thing, what to do, how to do it for the intro session. Sometimes students make sure that everybody is clear. For associate director should see the repercussions and the follow up things for what director assigned. It associate director should see other responsibilities of other folks and be able to follow up with them and be able to track all that specifically as it relates to a specific uh, for actual class. Make sure that everything is subdivided and using best principles. Don't overwhelm the dashboard with too many things. If you see the dashboard has way too many things in one screen, make sure that you expand that further and create another dashboard. So this way, it's clearly understood what is happening without being fully overcrowded. Utilize the best elements based on Alpha Technologies dashboards that you've seen earlier that are already pre-created, uh, and then represent an intro session entire slides and documents and curriculum using Notebook LM slides. And make sure you publish them and show them directly inside of the slides. So this way, it's easy to represent the entire syllabus and curriculum inside of the university in a box, inside of the intro session. Make it easily understand, make it easily based on the transcript or recorded information that's happening in real time from the actual classroom, actual session, intro session. Make it easily understood who expressed interest, what was the name of the student, at which particular timeline they expressed interest. So this way, it's easily director can refer to it, or instructor, coordinator, or student coordinator could refer to it. Make it easily possible to understand how many people expressed interest. Also, make it easily understood who decided to sign up for an intro session, which faculty members are going to be joining on which particular date. Trickle down everything to calendar, collective calendar in a dashboard. Make sure that it's easy to see who is who, and um, and make it and think of things that I didn't mention before that I may not be aware of. Do deep level research with Notebook LM to see what is it that I didn't like mention that could cohesively increase the overall effectiveness of this tightly coupled squad. Um, think of a way for how they could like introduce maybe like chat prompts inside of their own. kind of screens. So when they update um, a particular screen from their point of view, then it gets reflected, um, and it kind of gets injected. Make sure it's easy to gets injected in terms of what they actually want, but also make sure that they understand when they're injecting this thing, this is how it impacts the overall elephant. So when elephant move with one leg, all the other all four legs need to follow. It can be just one leg moving up and all three other legs behind. Make sure that it's fully understood, and but also create those chat prompts that they could inject into each of the screens to modify the screen based on how they want it. And if they want to update to GitHub into another branch that, but then they should be able to do that as long as they don't overwrite the master branch, but make it easily possible for associate director and director to understand what is a main branch, what is a not the main branch on the GitHub. And so this way they could kind of see what trickled down and they could merge them together when the final changes are done. Use whatever the best practices of making sure that this is not overwritten in any shape or form. Utilize Obsidian to refer to local, to refer quickly to memory, long form and short form memory in combination with GitHub revisions. If you get stuck, um, in combination with local Git local repositories. Definitely use the local Git repository to see like what changes were made to in combination with Obsidian. You may want to take a look at the RAG, Obsidian RAG, do a research on that from some of the AI people out there for how they doing that. Some of the famous AI people doing that. Take a look at that and research that and see and integrate that to make sure the memory context and caching is improved. So it's a lot faster and token reduction is also followed. Just make sure you use Freedom Fusion Router, as I mentioned, for dynamic selection of models to make sure we don't end up spending too many tokens on models. Now you have full holistic understanding for how to build a university in a box. Proceed with continuous updates throughout the week. And with every major update, be sure to specify exactly what was changed and include all the links and local path to Obsidian for what was changed so this way I could quickly get access to it and see and validate. Include, if necessary, pictures of the views as well for me to quickly glance at inside of the Telegram bot when you are reaching out to me through OpenClaw. Set up those appropriate um, cron jobs to make sure that this happens with OpenClaw. Now that you have full, concrete understanding of the entire University in Box solution, proceed with it. And remember to have special heartbeats for um, figuring out the mutual intersects of reasons across multiple identities. And as you interact further with me through Telegram, you'll be learning more about those identities and you need to be adjusting and modifying the score. So make sure you have the score metric and mechanism for how you're adjusting and for how you're validating for what is what and what is being merged, what is being identified as a standalone script and what is being kind of morphed into a bigger pipeline. Include that. So this way, the proliferation of scripts is no longer a problem, just like I mentioned before. But make sure you tie that into some weighted measurements. Do a little bit of research for how to pull this off. Try to display emergent properties and make it super easy for the teleprompter to cohesively understand everything throughout the entire folder through entire elephant. As the entire elephant moves with four legs, it needs to be fully every single part needs to be interconnected. Validate in bidirectional direction and think of what views, how you could update each individual views to reflect each identity and include necessary calendars. Think of what happens what if there's another class that I wanted to teach. How would that look like? How does the interface supports that? Think of kind of divide yourself into multiple phases and subdivide it in a way where I clearly understand what you're working on and report back to me regularly and come back with a cron recommendation that you're planning to set up next. For any kind of heartbeat cron recommendation that you are willing to set up next, provide that concrete recommendation in terms of overall stage, pipeline stage, and phases. So this way I know what you're doing specifically. Remember, there's going to be multiple university faculty members that are going to be supporting the entire squad, the entire set of activities. Set up uh, additional heartbeats for what to do for each identity. So this way, as you're doing that, you're analyzing from the perspective of each identity and using Notebook LM to research this. But lock yourself down, know exactly when to back out. Don't overdo it, but also know how to introduce that cohesiveness so it's a lot easier for us to build a very powerful solution that's going to make it easier for to increase the participation of students. Remember, this is the main goal: increase the participation of students, but also make it make it easier for to help faculties. Think of how to help faculties to work effectively with one another to reduce the overall back and forth frictional activities, and keep thinking of what cron jobs to add, but it has to be like valuable based cron jobs based on the views that you have created. Create memory imprints in Obsidian and local Git, as I mentioned, and make sure you obviously publish to GitHub only for the major revisions. Don't always publish into the uh, private GitHub repository for University in the Box. Uh, Focus most of the time on a local Git in Obsidian. Figure out any other techniques for how to do this. Just make sure you also maintain the security and the best security standards without really sacrificing the security. And you may want to take a look at the best way for how to do this, how while maintaining CI/CD pipeline. If you get stuck for too much on one thing or another, once again, subdivide the problem to small chunks, simulate each problem, simulate any kind of representation, any kind of synthetic data, simulate it, and run the simulation analysis multiple times. Escalate to the next level model in Freedom Fusion Router if and only if you get stuck in one model too much. But prior to doing so, notify me of doing so. Right now, you have fully blown solution for University in a Box, and that's it.